for those decisions. So, the biggest one probably being Against Me at that period, where it was like, oh, this is what I believe, this is who I am. And then the subsidiaries of that, in the anarcho-folk world and those types of things, gave me an identity for a little while until I could kind of figure out who I was without those things. So I think that, probably around university was the time I was most, entering university, 17 was the time I was most passionate about music.
I was most passionate about music probably when I was in 6th grade. It was when I first started playing the French horn in band, and I was also in choir at the same time too, and spending more and more time with my grandmother. So music was kind of, I would spend my recesses inside practicing. I took up an extra instrument, so I also started learning the saxophone at the same time. I was just really, really dedicated and very into it.
The very first concert I ever attended was Billy Joel. And I went with Todd Dolderson and Paul Campbell. And I think Todd had been to, Paul had definitely been to other concerts, I'm pretty sure. And Todd had seen, I want to say he'd seen, I think, I was going to say Todd had seen Rush, but I think Todd had gone to see, I feel like Todd's first big concert was Anderson Wakeman. What is it? No, it wasn't Palmer. It was Anderson, Buford, Wakeman, and Howe. Yeah. Anderson Bruford. Bill Bruford.
I think it's been different at different
Anderson,
times.
Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe. Yeah, because then there was a Dead Milkman song called like Anderson, Buttholes, Walkman, and Howe. It was like, but I remember. So I think they had each seen a concert before. It was my first time. It was at Maple Leaf Gardens. And I was in high school. It would have been the Stormfront tour, and I remember the lights dimming in the garden, and this scent wafting up, and Todd Dolderson saying, "You smell that? That's the smell of pot."
The first concert that really stands out in my mind actually is at the town hall in Southampton, Ontario. The band guys that we used to hang out with, they were putting on their first concert, and it was like, it was kind of like a punk sort of feel, but their lyrics were all original, kind of written about things that happened around town. Like there was one song called Crazy Van Man, about this man who lived in a van, and nobody really knew anything about him. He just like lived in this blue Toyota van down by the beach. And at that show, all of the guys, we were skanking in circles, and all of the guys took off their shirts. And so all of the girls were like, well, we'll take off our shirts and get down to our bras. And that's the first time I ever got kicked out of anything. We straight up got kicked out for taking off our shirts. We were still wearing bras, and I remember just being like, the injustice in the parking lot. We were so angry. Bunch of teenagers. Just like, that's not right. And the guys quit playing in solidarity with us, and it was a big deal.
It's interesting to me because I think of music and bands in the same way that I think of falling in romantic love. And I think every once in a while you'll catch a band or a song that just consumes your imagination in that way. But can you think of something in more recent times, say in the last year or two, where you've had your mind blown by a song? Because I think that used to happen to me all the time when I was a kid, and it happens less now, and it's always really exciting when it still happens.
It's funny, because all the concerts that I think of as being the greatest ones I've seen were all concerts I saw like my first few years of concert going.
I think the music that I was into, I kind of kept really quiet. Aside from the times where my brother and I would blare things on the stereo downstairs, but we lived on top of a hill in the country, so we had almost like a protocol system. We knew when someone was coming home. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you could see the car coming from a ways away. And so my brother and I would like turn off everything and like put all of our CDs away and batten the hatches, kind of. Sounds weird, but yeah, so they weren't really aware of what we listened to, I guess.
I think without music, it's it's a lighthouse to me. You know, I feel like I would be completely lost without it, and it's fascinating to me that way, how much I need those types of things to help define myself. I think that punk gave me an aesthetic, and it gave me a series of kind of loose ideas about how the world should be run. Yeah, I think that, like, there's a quote I really love where it's like, if you grew up and Oasis was your favorite band, it meant that your favorite band was Oasis. If you grew up and you knew who Henry Rollins was, it means that you liked a band called Black Flag and you had a certain idea about how the world should be run. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's totally true. Because without music, I don't think I would have been introduced to the hustle. I don't think I would have been introduced to, like, ways to positively let out anger. I don't think I would have been introduced to love in the same way that I understand it. And we can get all high fidelity about it really quickly, whereas I'm not sure those things have always been necessarily good for me. But without it, I wouldn't really know how to guide through my day-to-day life. And it's funny how much that means, I guess. And it's also amusing to me to know that that's totally not other people's experiences. And I'm like, how do you do it without it? And they're like, well, we're just less anxious, I guess.
First time I ever went and spent my own money to buy a record was living in Brampton, maybe being in grade 7, and getting on the bus, taking the bus to Shoppers World, and I bought Weird Al Yankovic's Dare to Be Stupid on vinyl. And I remember being so excited buying it, and then taking the bus back to put it on. I couldn't wait to get home and rip the plastic off. I might have even ripped the plastic off on the bus and I don't know if I read the lyrics or not. I may have tried to avoid that, but because if you read the lyrics beforehand, it's going to spoil the jokes.
I love to listen to a new album when I go for a run. I like to run long distance, so I'm always accompanied with music there. But I find when I'm gearing up for something, or I just find it like punctuates the mood of my life, I guess. So if I'm gearing up to go into a big stressful situation, I'll have some sort of song that I find either motivational or will just calm me down. If I feel sad, I'll listen to some sad music with really meaningful lyrics. I guess it's really mood induced.
To I hadn't heard it until like when I was driving back from Ottawa recently. My aunt just passed away, so I was being a little emotional, but like a Justin Bieber song came on called "Love Yourself," and I maybe just because my aunt had just died, but I was like, oh, this is really nice. and like I was that asshole who just constantly made fun of Justin Bieber, which isn't really fair. Like, he was a kid and grew up in the limelight and whatever, But there you go. There's, I think there's nothing wrong necessarily with pop music. Like something like so many people.
Well, here's the weird thing is that I'll often find, I don't know what the kids are doing if they're listening to the radio or something, but they'll know all these pop songs that I don't know at all. I'm not sure if they're like listening to them on the car radio or what it is, but their songs they'll know the lyrics to them, and that makes me feel old. For one thing, kids love One Direction. They find it's very poppy. What I find funny about One Direction is actually all their songs sound like another band. Like, they have a song that sounds like Don Henley, and there's a song that sounds like Def Leppard. They have the song that starts off like Should I Stay or Should I Go? So that's kind of funny. And like Taylor Swift and stuff like that. Like that's probably the influence of kids like at school and stuff. But in terms of stuff that I would get them into that they would like, sometimes you play things and they don't stick, but other times it's like David Bowie. They like certain David Bowie songs. Rhiannon actually asked if she could take David Bowie's greatest hits to school with her, and she played. And the 3 songs she wanted to play were Changes, Life on Mars, and Diamond Dogs, which I thought was pretty great. That song has the word bitch in it.
What punk gave me was the idea to be like, well, I'm not this and I am this, and fuck the rest of you because I get to be this thing. And that gave me a community to be a part of, and it gave me a personality that I don't think I would have had just on my own. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that there's, a dogma to that isn't necessarily good to follow blindly. And you can evolve and you can sort of redefine yourself in a lot of ways. And I think what I've learned how to do, hopefully a little bit better, is use music as a tool now. So it's kind of like, it's how I learned how to paint emotional situations, and it's how I can help to highlight some aspects of my personality for myself and for other people, but I don't feel like it uses me as much as I use it.
And then there was this weird period. I remember there being a day where I was downstairs in my office in the morning working on something, and then all of a sudden I hear the stereo upstairs, and it's X. X is like blasting out of the speakers, and like Bridget had taken out this X CD of mine and put it on. And she was just like, she got through like 3 or 4 songs before her mom made her turn it off. And I thought it was a one-time thing, and she put it on again like a week or 2 later. So I don't know. She could be like a secret LA punk fan. I thought it was pretty cool, actually.
The kids are all right.
The kids are all right. I think, you know what? If they have eclectic taste, I think that's really cool. If they get into different kinds of music and and don't discriminate and like what they like, I think it's pretty great. Right.
Thank you for listening to We Muse Aloud. This week's contributors were Graham Isidore, Tom Arthur Davis, Gillian Welsh, and Christopher Smets. You can follow us on Twitter at We Muse Aloud, and on Facebook.com/We Muse Aloud. Email wemusealoud@gmail.com. Remember to subscribe, rate us, and spread the word. In space, if 2 pieces of metal make contact, they will become permanently fused together. It's kind of nice.